Okay, so we are going to review the topic of word problems with least common multiple and greatest common factor in them. For this particular problem, we are going to be dealing with the least common multiple. And I'm just going to go ahead and start off by reading the word problem. So it basically says, Dan can run a lap around the track in 2 minutes, while it takes Mike 4 minutes to run a lap. How many laps will it take each of them before they meet at the same starting point? So basically the information that we know is we know that it takes Dan 2 minutes to run a lap, while it takes Mike 4 minutes to run a lap. And we're trying to figure out how many laps does each of them have to run before they meet at the beginning of the starting point. So we would first of all we're going to look for the least common multiples of 2 and 4. So we would go ahead and make a chart. This is how I would do it. I would write it out like this. So I would start with Dan, and I would also write Mike, and I would go ahead and make a chart, and I would start writing out the multiples. So we are going to start with the multiples of 2. So we would go 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. Then we would start out by writing the multiples of 4. So we would write 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32. So once we have our chart written out and we can clearly see, we're going to determine how many laps. So we're just going to imagine we're going to look for the least common multiple. So as we can see right here, the least common multiple between both is 4. So we can see that with Dan, it takes him 1, 2. So if we would just look at these as laps, 3, 4, and so on, 5, 6, 7, 8. We can see that it would take Dan 2 laps, and it would take Mike 1 for them to meet at the same starting point. So to answer the question for this problem, we can say that it would take Dan 2 laps and Mike 1 lap. And from this information we can conclude that Dan is basically running at twice the speed of Mike. And that is how we would solve that problem. Now in the video they did factorization where they did the factors for the numbers, but this is the way I would do it with a visual chart, and that way you can see exactly how many laps. You can see right there. It just depends on your preferred method, but this is the way that I would teach it, and there you go, and that's how you would solve.